This is a quick market profile looking at how the week is starting. I'm focused on two big questions: what direction the market tried to move, and whether it showed any real follow through. The goal is to separate structure from emotions early in the week. So I'm just going to jump right into it. My first chart is NVIDIA. So when I look at NVIDIA here, I can see that, there are no tails. I don't see any selling tails or buying tails, which suggests that there's no signs of excess. There is range, so this is the initial balance. There is range extension in block C and G. However, value did not migrate there, which means that, there was an attempted direction down, but there was no real acceptance. When I do the rotation factor, I did calculate -1, and I'll just kind of show it to you guys here. And the -1 is that the C period and the B period. That is the only -1. Okay, so so the attempted direction was down, was slightly weak. Okay, as you guys can see, this yellow line here, that's the point of control, and this is the price point at which the market spent the most of the day trading at. So it's also known as the fairest price. So as you can see, this is Thursday and this is Friday. The market wasn't open today because of the Martin Luther King Day, I believe. So the point of control was basically exactly the same Thursday and Friday. Relative to the week, you can see that there was it is a little bit higher, but relative to yesterday, it is about the same. Now, the next question, directional conviction analysis. Value area placement, I said that it was about the same. So you guys can see this bar here tells you the volume at which the price traded at. So a lot of volume here and a lot of volume here. Value is the same. With respect to volume, I said is about average. You could see that maybe it's slightly above average, but if you round it off, it is about about average. So I did say it's average. So piecing it all together, on average volume, the stock attempted to go lower through a range extension, but it failed to gain acceptance and resulted in value that was the same. Point of control is the same as yesterday. The market profile for NVIDIA for trading on Friday, I believe it would have been January 16th. So the NVIDIA stock that traded on Friday, the market profile suggests that it's in balance and fairly priced, and we need more information to determine directional conviction. So I'm going to go to the next stock here. The next stock here is Apple. I'm just waiting for it to kind of load here. This is the candlestick pattern, so here we go. So when I look at Apple here, okay, when I look at the profile, you guys can see there's no tails, no selling tails or buying tails. For it to be considered a tail, you need two single TPO prints by themselves. So when there's no tails, it means there's no signs of excess, which suggests that the market did not auction too far away from value. Okay, there was range extension in the G period here, so other participant sellers auctioned lower, but value did not migrate at all and it was rejected. Okay, if you look at the point of control, this yellow line here, it is slightly lower from Thursday, even Wednesday, so point of control is slightly lower. Okay, now moving on to, and the rotation factor, I did say that it was -2, so I'm going to show it to you guys here. So the -2 is the G period here and the B period here. That's -1, and this would be -2. So putting it kind of together, the attempted direction was down. Okay. Moving on to the next question, the directional conviction analysis. As you guys can see, the value area, so these two kind of bar charts, I would say is the value area. Whereas, this, I would say all three of these would be the value area here. It overlaps a little lower. Okay, so you guys can see it overlaps lower. When it comes to volume, volume is above average volume. Okay, so that's not insignificant. So just kind of putting it together, on above average volume, market attempted to auction lower through a range extension in the G period and succeeded in bringing value overlapping to the downside. The strength and the conviction of auctioning lower is modest. It's not really strong, but it's modest because of the market participants. There's no sign of seller exhaustion, so I don't see seller exhaustion here. Auction currently supports a bearish bias. Going long here does not make sense. Okay, so just looking through the market profile lens for the Apple stock, there is a bearish bias. Going long here does not make sense. Just looking at the profile on Friday, once again on above average volume, market attempted to auction lower and succeeded in bringing value overlapping to the downside. The strength in the conviction of downside momentum is modest. Okay, not super strong, just moderate. But however, there's no seller exhaustion, and some auction supports a bearish bias. Moving on to the third stock here, and I have the third stock is going to be Microsoft. I'm just waiting for it to kind of load here. Here we go. So here's Microsoft here. So just looking at the market profile, I don't see tails, shorting tails or selling tails here, or buying tails here. When it comes to range extension, you can see that there was range extension in blocks H, so market attempted to auction higher. However, value did not migrate higher. Okay, I'm going to take a look at the rotation factor here. The rotation factor, I calculated it had to be 0. Okay, so there was an upward attempt through a range extension, but that failed. So there was an upward attempt. Market attempted to auction higher, but it failed. Okay, the point of control relative to Thursday is slightly higher. However, it overlaps with the day before. Okay, so this suggests, even though migration, value is slightly, potentially, value is not accelerating higher. Okay. Now I'm just going to move on to the next part of the question, directional convictional analysis. When it comes to the value area placement, I said that it overlaps higher. It could also, value for Thursday, I would consider these two blocks here, traded over here. Whereas the other day it's over here, so maybe it's the same to overlap slightly higher. So putting everything together, so there was an attempt to auction higher, as evidenced by the range extension in block H, but value did not migrate there. However, on above average volume, okay, I'm going to forget to show you guys the volume, so you guys can see it is above average. I can't say it's average. It is slightly higher than average. Okay. So kind of putting it all together. So once again, the market attempted to auction higher, as evidenced by the range extension in block H, but value did not migrate there. So on above average volume, value did overlap higher or stayed the same. It was weak and insufficient to validate the range extension. Okay. Point of control is also slightly higher than yesterday, but similar to the day before. So this also suggests value is not accelerating higher. In conclusion, for the Microsoft stock that traded on Friday, market profile suggests it's a balanced auction with a slight upward bias. Slight. From the auction perspective, there is no short conviction, but upward control has not been established either. So we need more information for strong directional conviction. Okay, and that's the Microsoft stock. Moving on to the final stock here, I have Tesla. So for Tesla, just looking at the market profile for Friday, once again, I do not see any selling tails or any buying tails, which suggests that there's no signs of excess. I do not see any range extension, so the market did not attempt to auction higher or lower. Okay. Point of control is slightly lower than it was on Thursday, and maybe slightly higher than it was on Wednesday. So kind of like in between this area. Okay. Now, when it comes to rotation factor, the rotation factor is -1, and that's the B block over here. That is the -1. Otherwise, every other time block is a 0. So the market attempt was neutral with a slight downside rotation. There was a slight downside rotation, but the attempted direction was neutral. Okay. When it comes to the directional conviction, the volume. So as you guys can see, the volume over here, the volume, as you guys can see, the volume over here, right over here, is slightly below average. Okay. So the volume is slightly below average, and value area, I said it was about the same. So the value area for Thursday, I would say these two areas here is the value area, whereas this one, the point of control, I would classify that. So the value area placement is the same. Volume is slightly below average. So putting it all together, on slightly below average volume, market rotated slightly lower and resulted in value that was the same. Point of control is very similar to the past 2 trading days. There's no range extensions or tails present. It suggests that the market is in balance with no clear directional conviction. We need more information as to see how this upcoming week is going to progress. And that wraps up for last week. And I just want to wish everybody good luck this week, and keeping what I just said in mind. And if you already have a trading plan in place, or you're already in a trade, I hope this provides objective data on your trading plan, and see if it needs to be readjusted. Have a great week, everyone. Thank you.